welcome to this information session about the graduate studies here at Polytechnique Montreal. My name is Renato Oliveira. I am a prospective student advisor here at Poly, and today in our presentation you're going to learn more about our DSS, non-thesis master, research-based masters, and PhD. If you have any question, it's really easy to ask them. You just need to use the chat. You need to connect to your YouTube or Google account to do so. If you don't have an account, you need to create one to be able to do this. So, with no further wait, I would like to invite my colleague, Senior Prospective Students Advisor Maud Barassa, to do the presentation. Have a good presentation, everyone.
Thank you, Renato, for this great introduction. Welcome everyone to this presentation, and without further wait, as we mentioned, we'll present you today a Polytechnique Montreal at a glance, so a few information about Polytechnique Montreal and Montreal itself. We'll go through an overview of our graduate programs, the professional ones and the research one, and we'll go more in detail about the research done at Polytechnique Montreal. And if you're at the undergrad level and not studying graduate studies yet, we'll talk to you about the added value of doing graduate studies. We'll go through and then for the admission process, so for you to know if you're eligible or not to our programs and what you need to submit. And as Renato mentioned, at the end of the presentation, we'll go through some question period. So be prepared with your questions. You can send them along during the presentation, and we will answer at the end of this one. So about Polytechnique Montreal, you have here an image of our campus. This is the campus of Université de Montréal, in which is represented Polytechnique on the left-hand side. So Polytechnique is an engineering school. We are one of Canada's leading engineering education and research institution. We count close to 10,000 students, and for which a quarter of them are studying in the graduate level. We have also 28% of women, so which we are very proud because we don't count here in Canada so many institutions focused towards engineering having that many women, so we are very proud of that. And if you are an international student watching us today, just note that if you come study with us, you will not be the only one coming from abroad, as we have more than 1/4 of our students coming from abroad with a study permit. We focus a lot on research at Polytechnique Montreal. We're very good at this, and we appear in the rankings because we receive a lot of money for research. We have a annual budget of $110 million per year that is given to the infrastructure and to also our professors, who can just buy new materials for their research labs and provide funding to their students. So this is a little bit about Polytechnique Montreal. You see that we are in a really green area, which is located on the Mont Royal, which is the big park and mountain in the middle of Montreal. So we're not located in downtown, but very close to downtown. We are located at 500 meters flying above this mountain to downtown, and with the public transportation, it's about 15 minutes. So this is a really great location for you to enjoy, as well as the city and the nature in Montreal. So talking about research, here you have our 8 spheres of excellence, which have been developed by Polytechnique Montreal according to the expertise of our professors. So it's not only about our programs that you see the specialties on the bottom of this screen, where we have civil engineering, physics engineering, mineral engineering, materials. We have all kinds of engineering programs, but the spheres of excellence bring together different engineering specialties. So for example, I'll take just the first one, the energy, water, and resources. This is one pole, spheres of excellence, very important for us, obviously, but it brings to some professors and students to work together, both in energy engineering, civil engineering, sometimes in electrical engineering, because it takes the sustainable development with the solar panel, physics engineering as well. So it brings many professors from different fields of engineering to work together, and that's how you can get to work on a specific project that is not focused only on one engineering field, but on many fields of engineering applied to a specific project. So for the programs that we offer at Polytechnique Montreal, if you speak French, then there is many more options offered for you. But if you only speak English, note that we'll just go through the research programs for you to be eligible. So the micro programs are our shortest program, but they are not eligible for international students. So if you intend to come here with a study permit, just note that this is not for you. But all the others are welcome for the Canadian resident, the permanent residents, and the international students. So we talk about the DESS, which is a graduate diploma of specialized education. It's only on a course base. So it takes a year and a half to complete a DESS, but there is only courses that leads you to the labor market afterwards. We then have the non-thesis masters, which is a great choice compared to the DESS for international students, as it gives you the same amount of courses that you will be doing. So the bunch of courses offered at Poly will be the same, either if you're subscribed to a DESS or a non-thesis masters. But at the end, you have the choice to either just do a small research project in a lab, which is not of a thesis, it's just really an introduction to research, or do an internship in a company located in Montreal, located outside of Montreal within the province of Quebec, in the rest of Canada, or if you want to, outside Canada in the international. So any countries you may find an internship could be done outside of Canada. So this is a great opportunity for you to get specialized and join the labor market after graduating a non-thesis master's. The other option for those who do not speak French, because the professional programs are only for those who speak French, who have a knowledge of French. If you don't have French knowledge, then we focus to research-based masters and PhD, which are built with a small amount of courses. We'll go in details afterwards with that, with a big portion of research that is going to be leading you to the redaction of a thesis, defending in front of a jury. So the length of the non-thesis masters and research thesis master are the same, more or less, 2 years, and the PhD is about 4 years long program. So getting to see these different programs in details, we have 2 different fields. So we have the professional fields and the research fields. I just talked a little bit about the language difference between both, so we'll go in details for these. So the professional programs are the DESS, which is only a course-based program, and the non-thesis masters, that is adding an internship. So this is the difference between both. If we talk about the non-thesis masters, then it's a 15 weeks internship or a short project. You have the choice to do one or the other, and both are very valued for the labor market. It's not because you don't do an internship that you will not find a job afterwards. Both are going to give you opportunities to be in contact with any companies located in Montreal or outside. So obviously, as I mentioned, if you do an internship, you'll have an industry collaboration because you'll make an interview, you'll get an internship offer, you'll go to a company during 15 weeks. So obviously, if you do a great job, it's going to lead you probably to a job offer after your internship. And if you do a research, a small project in the lab, then maybe this project is in partnership with a company to try to find a solution to an existing problem in a company. So you'll have this industry collaboration as well. As these are professional programs, you'll have a great professional employability when you graduate from one or the other program. You'll be very qualified to enter the job market and more specialized from having only your undergrad. And we think that these are great programs because they gives you a great flexibility, and because all the courses are offered a la carte. What it means, if you go to our program description, you'll see there's a list of courses offered in any of the programs in the field of engineering that you target. And it doesn't mean that you have to do all these courses. You have to select all the ones that are very important for you to build a personalized program according to your needs. So you'll go choosing a la carte according to your needs and what you really want to develop as a specialty for your graduate program. So this is very great flexibility because we give you the opportunity of choosing between full-time or part-time if you're Canadian, but if you're international resident, international students, you need to be full-time. Full-time is considered from 9 credits per session, which means 3 courses, but you can go to 4 courses per semester or even 5, which is a great, a very big amount of work to do in a semester. But let's talk about 9 credits and 12 credits, so 3 courses or 4 courses. This is the flexibility, and you can choose to do your internship or your research project anywhere during your 2 years program master. So this is the flexibility that we talk about. You see some colors. So the green apply only to the DSS, and the blue apply for the DSS and the master in the Legion. For the research programs now, as we mentioned in the previous slide, we talked about a small amount of courses next to a big part of research. So this is a mixed match of courses and methodology plus the research program. So it gives you all the information necessary for you to be able to ask a question, to find the answer, is it positive or negative at the end of your research, and just develop all the methodology to find the solution to the initial questions that you have asked with your professor regarding your specific project. These programs are also funded usually by the professors. So this is the, let's call it a scholarship. This is the scholarship, the easiest one to be found once you can catch the attention of a professor to be given a specific project. So the professor you'll be working with will probably be able to offer you a financial support. When we talk about this amount of money for the research masters, we talked about $19,500 per year, and for the PhD, it's $23,000 per year. This is a great amount of money that will cover your tuition fees, and depending on the level of study, either the master or the PhD, it may cover also part of your living expenses in Montreal. As well as the master and the PhD, you'll be given the opportunity of publishing articles in scientific reviews. So at the master, it's not mandatory, but it's very encouraged. So most of our students will publish at least 1 article, and at the PhD, obviously, you can do a thesis by accumulating some articles, or you can just publish in reviews according to the research you are doing. But this being said, it means that you'll be probably invited to present the answers or the observation that you have published in your articles in some conferences. You'll be able to travel with these papers, and you'll be able to grow your network of connections. So that's something interesting about research. Also, depending on what's your career goal, if you want to be a professor, pursue to the PhD from starting at the master, or just get to the labor market, the research will bring you all these opportunities. So it doesn't mean that you do a research-based master's that you'll have to go through all the PhD and postdoc and be a professor. You can definitely go to the labor market and find a company who's going to look for your expertise that you have developed within your research. And obviously, the same as the professional expertise, you have an industry collaboration, because many of the research projects are given by the companies and the work industry, because they have to solve some problems, and the cheapest way of doing so, or finding the best expertise, is giving the work to the university to be done by students and professors, because they are working for that. They are trying to find solutions, and they want to be solutions that are going to be applied to the real world. So this is the difference between the 2 fields of programs that we offer. I hope that you find something really interesting, or you find if you are more into research or not. And as I mentioned before, the research programs can be done in English, while the professional programs can only be done in French. So I've talked about the projects and the association with a professor. So the first step for admission when we talk about the research programs is trying to find a supervisor that is willing to accept you in his lab for the programs that you target. So what we invite you to do before submitting any application you may want to submit at Polytechnique, we ask you to explore our spheres of excellence, as I mentioned, because they are multidisciplinary, and they, for example, a professor in civil engineering may work in artificial intelligence, so you could decide either to find a professor that is more into the AI or the civil engineering, apply to one or the other. So finding a professor will give you more information about which kind of programs you should apply, and you'll be able to find the project, the specific project you want to work with, and is there any financial opportunities regarding that specific project. So these are questions that you can just discuss with professor before deciding to apply or not. So we invite you to visit our spheres of excellence. You have a lot of projects, example projects that are published in this website. And so it will help you to identify your research interest if it's not done so. So you'll be able to check on the kind of projects you could participate in. Some are example, but some are real projects where professors are recruiting. And you'll see a blue square in this website where some professors are already looking for students, and you are welcome to apply and contact them to discuss if your application is interesting for them to hire you in either the master programs or the PhD programs. And then once you find what you really want to do and which professor you want to work with, then you have to contact these professors. And we don't have a general mechanism of application for this. You have to contact specifically each of the professors you want to work with and see if they answer. So the way to do that, we invite you to send them a personalized email. We want you to be concise, specialized, detailed, and send your resume along. If you really know what you want to do, say it. Say, I want to do this, and this is what I want to do in my life, so I need to work on that specific project, and it seems that you are the professor to do so. So the professors, they really like to see this approach because they feel concerned, and they know that you explore their expertise, and you are contacting them because you did your work. You did the work that a student has to do, and not sending 100 of emails to different professors, just copy and paste. They want to feel that they are special to you. So make accordingly to get the more chances of receiving a reply, and send your resume because it gives many information about you, who you are, what you have studied, what you want to do, what's your GPA, where you're coming from. So these are valued information for a professor to be able to answer you. So why now pursuing graduate studies? I'll be quick on this, but as I mentioned, many information already. So be specialized in a field of interest. If you're coming from your undergrad, maybe you've liked some topics that you have studied in your undergrad, and you want to be specialized in one of these topics that you have seen only briefly. So it's going to give you the opportunity of being the specialist in this field of application, either for the professional master or the research one, or to the PhD. This is something very, very concerned to the graduate studies. It allows you also to get deeper knowledge on a given field. Obviously, if you do research, you'll be able to target a specific topic and just do all the research that exists according to this topic, so you'll be the specialist about that. It's going to help you also to lead a complex project from start to finish. Let's talk about the professional master. If you decide to do an internship, the company will give you a project to lead from start to finish, and you'll have to present your work that you have done in this 15 weeks internship. But if you do a project in the lab, either an internship in the lab or a research in a master or PhD, then it's going to be to just develop the questions and to go through all the difficulties that is going to bring you the project. So this is very something how can I say? That employers are looking towards graduate students, is they know that they deepen any knowledge and they want to go further, and they ask questions and they went further. It's going to allow you also to be more competitive nationally and internationally. I like to take the example of aerospace engineering for that, because here in Montreal, we have many companies that hire to get all the people working in this field. They have to go abroad to fulfill all the position. So if you have done graduate studies, then you'll be more competitive according to someone who just did an undergrad. So you'll have something more than someone who has just the undergrad. So sometimes graduate studies help you to be more distinguished, to show that you have something more. Sometimes it's just a great GPA that you have. Sometimes it's that you have had some implication into social networking or some activities that are not part of the official curriculum. But graduate studies, it's definitely a way to stand out of the crowd and show that you are someone important and some companies should hire you. If you do research, it's going to help you also to prepare for a university position. Obviously, you'll have to go through all the way to PhD and postdoc to get a professor's position, but this is something students going all the way to PhD studies that are looking for, and there's great opportunities not only in Canada, but maybe in the country that you are coming from. So PhD should be a good option for you. And then if you want to integrate yourself to the labor market, to Quebec or to any other country, if you want to remain in Quebec and you are coming from abroad, graduate studies are a great way to show that you have integrated yourself to the Quebec society, that you have acquired our values, that you have maybe learned French if you didn't learn French when you started your studies, because you have spent 2 to 4 years studying at Polytechnique Montreal. So employers will be looking for that because they will consider your studies as a work experience. So this is very valuable for the companies. So now to finish, before we go to the questions, I give you some information about the admission process already, but I want to go detail within for the application. So for the non-thesis programs, so that are called the professional programs, you have to check on the admission requirements regarding where you are graduated from. So we means about the country where you're coming from. So check on the admission request. There is university prerequisite, what is the diploma that is required, and what is the GPA that we ask for, a minimum GPA. And as I mentioned, you need to have French knowledge. So there is a bunch of exams that we accept. So we invite you to just check on the exam that would be the easiest for you to attend and sign to, and what is the minimum score that we need to receive. And then you just have to submit your application online and send the supporting papers along by email or by post mail. For the research programs, then the process is quite similar, but has few differences. Obviously, we ask you to check on the admission requirements. Better is your GPA, better is your curriculum, more chances you'll have to find a supervisor that is willing to support you. So the same for English prerequisite, but it's not a minimum. We should target higher than the minimum. We accept either French knowledge or English knowledge. So if you don't know French, this is not a problem for these programs, that you can apply either with IELTS or TOEFL. And as I mentioned, very important, but not mandatory, but very recommended, finding a supervisor before applying, so you can discuss on the project you want to work with, and what is the style of the professor for supervising his students, and if there is some financial support that is provided by the professor. So this can be discussed all the way before deciding to apply. And then you submit your application the same way as for the non-thesis programs. So you send your application online and you send your supporting documents by email or by post mail.
So thank you, Maude, for this very detailed presentation. I'm sure it helped a lot our students. Before going to the questions, I would like to remind you that you can talk directly with our current students in our chat platform. So you can go to the website and ask them about the experience of studying at Poly, how is it the program. So do that. You can do that from now if you want. It's live. And I also want to invite you to subscribe to our newsletter so you can get in touch with us to know more about our activities, our scholarships, and everything. So I remind you, to ask your questions is really simple. You have to be connected to your YouTube or Google account, and you have only to send your questions in the chat. So we have already some questions, Maud. Are you ready?
Good, yes.
So we have a question from Mohamed. Is it possible to jump directly from the bachelor's degree to the PhD to have lower tuition fees?
Okay, we didn't discuss the tuition fees, but I guess, Mohammed, I've been to our website and had seen that the tuition fees at the master level are higher than at the PhD. So I guess this question is regarding toward this information. So yes, it's possible, but it's not the regular path. So students will have a very good GPA with highly qualified in their resume who could find a supervisor that is willing to accept them directly to the PhD can do so. But obviously, as I mentioned, there's a part of methodology that students learn with the courses at the master level. So the students jumping directly to PhD will be missing that methodology part, and so the gap will be higher to fulfill. But this is something that is happening. Sometimes if it's only for questions of tuition fees, professors will recommend to the students for him to join a master program, and then if everything goes well after one semester, they will recommend the students to jump from the master to the PhD. So the tuition fees will be higher for the first semester, but then will be lower at the PhD, as every student at the PhD, no matter if they're permanent resident in Quebec, they're Canadian, or they're international, pay the same tuition fees, which is about $4,000 per year.
Perfect, thank you. Farhat, if I am admitted in my second choice program, can I change program afterwards?
Yeah, so this questions, I guess it's Farhat who already applied. As for the application, there's always two choice program that can be written on the application. In case you're not admitted in the first one, you can be admitted in the second one. In case you are admitted in the second one, there is always a possibility for you to change. So depending if you have been admitted, for example, to a second choice that is professional, and you want to switch to a research program, then if you have found a supervisor, because always the same admission requirements apply, if you have found a supervisor that is willing to support you and to accept you in his research lab, then you can just submit a new application and change program, and what has been done in your first program can be transferred to the new one after one semester or 2 semesters that studies.
Perfect, thank you. A question from Philip. I am not sure if I really want to go for the research program. Can I talk to someone who could tell me more about the research context at the school?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've presented both professional and research programs, but I know that some students may just be in doubt. Is research done for me? Should I go this way, or should I just present a French exam and go for the professional programs? So yes, we have a way, as you mentioned, Renato, we have this chat where you can talk with students and chat live with students that are either registered in a professional program or research program, and ask them if research is done for you. What is research? What is the day life in what is the day life in research in the life of a student? What is the day-to-day going to a lab? You can ask any questions you want to these students. They're there to share their personal experience and maybe give you some advice.
Perfect, thank you. And now a question from Victoria. I am interested in doing some research at Poly, and I try contacting different professors in my field of research, but none of them replied. Can Victoria still apply for the research program?
Yeah, this happens. I mentioned your resume has to be very catch the eye. Your email to professors should be very detailed and personalized, but it happens even if you do so, that professors are maybe not interested or do not have research space in their labs, and so before, instead of replying that they cannot accept you, they just don't reply. So this is very sad. We excuse them for that. But if this is happening, what you can do is still can submit your application to Poly without the name of a supervisor. We cannot guarantee that you'll get an admission because the supervisor name is mandatory for an admission. So what we do is we receive your application and we pass it through all the list of professors that is focused and related to the field of research that you want to work with. And if you are lucky, then a professor will accept you, will see your application, may contact you and discuss a project, financial support, and you could be admitted this way. But if we cannot find you a supervisor, then your application will be rejected and you'll receive a negative admission offer, which is not an admission offer. So just be careful with that. We encourage you. That is the reason why we encourage you to just try to find a way to contact professors and make your email as more personalized as possible to get an answer.
So this is all the time we had for the questions. Maud, I would like to thank you very much for your amazing presentation. And I would like to remind you that in January, we're going to do 2 open houses, one virtual and one in person. So in 17 January, you can come to the virtual open house, and 29 January for the in-person open house. So stay tuned to our website, and you're going to register as soon as the registration is possible. So I would like also to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube and follow you in our social media, and of course, go to our website to get more information about our university. So once again, thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank you, Renato.